Hey guys, welcome back. Let's talk about what is on my 8th graders reading list. Alright guys, welcome back. I'm Laura Wilkie with Down Home with Lemon Pie, and I'm a Christian stay-at-home homeschool mama of 7, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys what is on my 8th graders reading list. Every year for the past couple years, I have made a long list of books that I encourage her to read, or at least try to read, that are either relevant to her own interest or what we're studying, or just things that I kind of want to challenge her with. And this year is 8th grade, so I have a huge list here, and I'm going to share with you guys the majority of what's on it. It would take all day if we sat here all day and tried to go through the entire thing. But if you want to see what we did in the last year, I did share that as well, and I will link it below so you can find it. And at about when she had completed most of her list last year, we did a dual video together where she shared what she thought about the books, and some of them might surprise you. So I will also link that video below if you want to go back and see that. Next week, I will share what is going to be on some of my other kiddos' reading lists. I have a 6th grader, a 5th grader. So if you are interested, you find this one interesting. Now, before we get started, I feel like I have to put a little disclaimer out there. This particular child loves reading. She devours books. She picks up, stacks at the library every single week. And she told me if it's not like this thick, it's not one that she's gonna like. And she doesn't mean that obviously in complete truth, but that is the kind of thing she likes. She likes thick, big books. And so, this reading list looks extensive, and that is why, because this child loves this challenge, and so I give it to her. And so before we get started, I wanted to say that because this was a struggling reader. This little girl did not, well, she's a young lady now, but she didn't actually take off with reading until simple reading until after 7, and then actual reading until 11. So she is 13 now, and she just devours everything. So if you have a struggling reader, I totally get it. I don't want you to see this video as intimidating or like a competition or whatever. I get it. I've been there. But anyway, hopefully you'll get some good ideas. The time period we're studying this school year is the starting at creation forward, and we are using Mystery of History, volume 1. And so I am excited to be doing that. And I do want to tell you guys that because they have this awesome little tool at the back of their, or a part of their curriculum that they offer, and you can get online and get reading list. And so that is where about half of these books came from, and then the rest of them are either ones that we came up with or from Ambleside, because we do use Ambleside as well. So if you're using any of those, you may recognize some of these. All right, so I'm going to start with the ones relevant to our history lessons, the ones that were recommended by Mystery of History, and that is a Christian history program. So I do trust all of these recommendations, but I have not dived into too much on specific books and if they have this or that or whatever. So if you see something that you want to just throw me a heads up, please do so. Leave me a comment to let me know. But like I said, I'm just gonna kind of go through here and tell you the ones that I have selected. What I love about their program is that they give you ideas for books for all students, for younger kids, for middle school, and for older kids. So I kind of take a little bit from all of that, because let's be honest, there's so much you can gain even from picture books, even from younger stories, because there's still so much wisdom there. So sometimes I do have those on here as well. Okay, so one of the ones I picked, these were listed as time period classics, like ones you don't want to miss. Adam and His Kin, The Lost History of Their Lives and Times. I thought this was going to be interesting. I haven't found where I'm going to grab my hands on it yet, but we'll see. The next one is Tirza by Lucille Travis. I'm really hoping to get this one as a read aloud for all the kids. So I have it on her reading list in case I don't do it for that, but I may do it as that. I don't know. It might be, I just feel like it might work better that way. It does say it's a great read aloud, particularly for younger students, and it's about a girl. I believe this was the one that she is during Pharaoh and Moses is coming. It's during that time period. And so I think it's going to be good. We'll see. The next one is Adara. I don't remember which story this one's referencing. It's referencing a Bible story, I'm pretty sure. And it's by Beatrice Gormley, but I have it listed on here, so I'm sure it's going to be a good one. The next one was Victory on the Walls. This one is, it says, an excellent historical fiction about Nehemiah and the rebuilding of Jerusalem's wall. This is by Bethlehem Books, and I think it's going to be a great one. Again, this one and Tirzah, I was really considering doing as a read aloud with the whole group. But if I don't, I definitely want to try and get my hands on this one as well. Okay, the next one I have is The Golden Goblet. Okay, so I told you that this particular child was a struggling reader for a long time. The last time we studied this time period, years back, I had purchased this book and a couple others, and she just wasn't ready for them. She wasn't interested. It's 256 pages. So I just shelved it for then, and now I'm pulling it back out. She's totally ready for it. The Cat of Bubastis, I might be pronouncing that wrong. It's by G.A. Henty. Again, this one you can usually find at a library, and I'm pretty sure it's available at ours. It's pretty easy to find. Mara, Daughter of the Nile. Let's see, Hittite Warrior. I don't know. I debated on this one because I feel like it's going to be a very boy interest book and that she wouldn't really be interested, but she asked me why I was kind of debating, and she said, I don't care, I like boy interest books too, so just put it on there and I'll try it. So I do love that she has that kind of outlook on things, and like I said, I don't have them, if they start reading it and they're just dragging through it and it is just so boring, or they're not interested, I tell them, if you're just not interested or you're not into it, put it down, try a couple chapters and then put it down if you're not into it and move to the next book, because I am not looking to create a hate or a dislike of reading, but I do want them to have exposure to things that they may normally not pick up off the shelf in a normal day. So that's why I make the list. But the next one is God King, A Story in the Days of Hezekiah. This one's kind of hard to find, I'm finding. It seems like it's a little trickier one to look for. So we'll see. Okay, the next one is Bronze Bow. Again, very popular. I feel like I see this one all the time listed in homeschool groups. So we're going to try it. It says a fictional story set in the time of Christ. So we will see. The next one is Ben-Hur. I don't know if I'm going to do I've seen a couple copies, like abridged or unabridged. I don't know which one we're going to do. I am not like the kind of mom who is strictly unabridged. I do see value in abridged versions because you get the story, you get the idea, you get the kind of what's going on, and then if it sparks your interest, I feel like it's really good because then the kids will go back to it later when they're fully ready. So I do like a bridge, so I don't know if we're gonna go which way. Okay, the next one is the Epic of Gilgamesh. Okay, some versions I see, a little note here I really appreciate, include inappropriate content. So she has a specific one recommended here, Gilgamesh, a new rendering in English verse by David Ferry. So we will probably look for that one. It says it's 96 pages. I also found a printable kind of summary outline of it, and I think that would be interesting. But this is, from what I understood, basically a mythological story basically from that time period. So we will see. Okay, the next one is Hammurabi's Code. I see that is available on the internet, so we'll probably do that. The New Complete Works of Josephus. This one I'm really excited about. It is 1,000 pages, over 1,000 pages. So we're not looking to read through the whole thing, but I think this is one I just want to have on my bookshelf, like just to look through and reference at other times. This is a book that was written, I believe, if I'm remembering, I have all of these floating around in my brain all at the same time, but I'm pretty sure this is the one that was written at the same time as the Bible and is referenced a lot as far as biblical things that happened in the Bible. And so I think it's that one, and it talks a lot about what was going on with the Jews and the time period. So I feel like it would be a great one to have. But again, we're probably not going to read through the whole thing at this moment. The next one is the Iliad and the Odyssey, both of those by Homer. One of them says Iliad is set in the period of the Trojan War. Let me see. Homer's famous epic poem recounting the siege of Troy with added fiction. Numerous translations exist. And the sequel to that is the Odyssey, focusing on the Trojan War. Again, numerous translations exist. Okay, I have both of these in like a huge book, and we happened to find it in our storage room recently, and she was so excited. She wants to try it. I do also have the children's Homer. So if this is just too overwhelming or too much, I am all for her trying it. If she's just overwhelmed, then I have the other one as well. So either way, the next one, I don't even think I can pronounce it. The Aeneid. I am probably really butchering it, by Virgil. Originally composed in Latin, this epic poem brings to life the story of Aeneas, a character from Homer's Iliad, steeped in Roman thought. Okay, so these all kind of go together. So that is why I went ahead and included all of them. Again, if it's too overwhelming, we will just move on. Okay, the next one I have is The True Story of Noah's Ark. It is by Master Books. I absolutely love the books that they put out, especially the ones that have to do with this time period. Some of them I've read in the past. This one we don't own, and I want to get it because I want to do it with all of the kiddos. So you'll probably see it listed on a couple lists. The next one is Life in the Great Ice Age, again by Master Books. I read this one years back to my kiddos, and it was so good. So good. So I want to reread it because one of my kiddos, it's actually this child in particular, is in a period of life where a lot of people are people that she knows, not necessarily friends, that are coming to her and kind of challenging her faith as far as, well, that's not true, or we learned this at school and that's not right, and evolution is right, and all these things. And so we're going to go back and kind of refresh some of this information, and she's really excited about it. I'm really excited about it. I think the Noah's Ark that I just talked about will be a good one, but this one is talking about the Great Ice Age. And I remember when I read this to the kiddos, it was like almost mind-blowing about how different it was from what I was taught in my public school years ago. So, and even things that you see, like the Ice Age movies or whatever, you just feel like that's right, and it's totally wrong. And I felt like this book here, it did a great job of really laying it out. The next one is What Really Happened to the Dinosaurs by Ken Ham, a popular one. We read this every couple years with my kiddos. Every time I have a kindergartner, we read it, and it just does a really good job of explaining dinosaurs. It's really, really basic. It is a picture book, but there are some others here. So if she wants to dive into some others about that same time period, there are some more here, also by Ken Ham or by Master Books. So we'll see. I don't know. The next one is After the Flood. That one was listed for older students, so we're going to see if we can locate it. Okay, so regarding the Sumerians, we're now to 2300 BC. Stories from the Silk Road. I want to try to get this one. It is 80 pages, and I think that it's going to be one of those, like the others, that stays with you. And so I haven't located it yet. We did check our library. It's not there. So I am hoping to find it. We will see. Okay, the next one is, let me see. Okay, there is a trilogy regarding the story of Joseph. She has it listed for older students. Each one's about 380 to 400 pages, and they are called Legacies of the Ancient River 1, 2, and 3. They're called Dreamers, Brothers, and Journey. I may see if she wants to find those, but I wasn't too confident that we'd be able to find them, so I don't know. And then the next one I have is, let's see, I already talked about those. Okay, for talking about the legend of the Trojan horse, we also have Black Ships Before Troy and the Wanderings of Odysseus. I'm probably butchering it again. I'm sorry. Both of these are 160 and 144 pages. They're not very long, historical fiction. So I think that she would find those just interesting. But again, we might be drowning in Iliad and Odyssey. So we'll see if we get to those. Okay, moving on. This is talking about Babylonian captivity. It feels like I'm skipping around, but I've already mentioned some of the ones from the in-between time periods that I've skipped. So Jerusalem Still Shining. It says it's a great book that all ages would appreciate. Describes in children's language the history of Jerusalem well beyond the Babylonian captivity, but may be difficult to locate. So we'll see if we can find it. It's by Carla Cuskin. I don't know. A lot for this time period. She has just reading straight from the Bible, which is obviously very good and the good way to go about it. So I will have her doing a lot of that as well, but I didn't want to exclude some of these other treasures. So the next one is Aesop's Fables. She has probably heard Aesop's Fables many times over the course of her life, but reading them again as a teenager, I think will sit differently than reading them as a young child. So I'm excited for her to do that. The next one is Handbook of Today's Religion. Now, not the whole book. It's by Josh McDowell. But as we start talking about some of these other religions, I believe this book is going to lay it out really clearly. And I would like to have this one just on hand more as like a reference. And so it's specifically talking about Confucianism and Buddhism. And I feel like that would just be something to have on hand just to reference for different things. Okay, going back a little bit in time period to 1200 BC, Ruth and Naomi. The next book I have is called Unshaken Ruth, and it is part of the Lineage of Grace series. This is book 3. I think the library even had access to all of them, so I am excited to see if we can locate every single one of those because I think she would probably really enjoy it. Okay, the next one I have is we're talking about Esther now. Hadassah, the girl who became Queen Esther. And also Chosen, the Lost Diaries of Queen Esther. So if we can locate either of those or both of those, I think she would enjoy them. One's 168 pages. The second one is 298. All right, the next one I have is The Book of Virtues by William J. Bennett. This is a thick book, and I actually took a lot of our poetry and different things from this book this year. It's 832 pages, but it is just full of good things. It has sections for each virtue, and so you've got like, I can't remember exactly which ones are included, but virtues like obedience, self-discipline, kindness, different things. And then it has just stories and poems and all kinds of little excerpts from different works of literature that are so good. A similar book is Everyday Graces, which I also absolutely love both of these books so much, and they're just really good. So we will try to get that and get it located for some of the excerpts. Okay, the next part is we're at Plato and Aristotle. And I have 2 biographies here, one for each, one for Plato, one for Aristotle. Biography from Ancient Civilization. They're 48 pages. They're listed for middle students. I don't know. I don't know if we'll find them. I don't know if we'll locate them. I think we looked at our library and we couldn't find them, so we may move on. I don't know, but we may see if they have something similar, but I don't know. I wanted to try and get them if we can. The next one is The Republic by Plato. Again, I've not read anything like that, so I don't know what to expect, but I feel like we're going to be conquering a lot of very big literature this year. Okay, Alexander the Great. This is a Yesterday's Classics. I love their books so much. So that was that one. I may have her look at I Am the Great Horse by Catherine Roberts. I don't know yet, because It is 544 pages. But again, this is the kiddo that loves the books that are the longest. So we'll see. Although I don't want to just take up all of her time. I know she has some things that she wanted to read just for her own pleasure. So we'll see. Okay, moving on. I hope it's not too loud. It is raining here and it's kind of noisy on the roof. So I hope you can still hear this video fine. The next one is Maccabee. It is 428 pages by David C. Carson. I'm hoping that one will be a good one about the Maccabean Revolt. Okay, and then Herod the Great by Robert Greene wraps up the books for Mystery of History. That one is 64 pages. So I love that this does them by lesson. You can see right there, it does it by lesson. So I mark that on her list, and then she knows approximately when to read it in the school year. So I do like that feature very much. Okay, so let's move on. These are the books now from either Amble's side recommendations or just recommendations we had. Maybe they were books we had that she just hasn't gotten to yet, or books that we wanted her to read but weren't recommended necessarily anywhere. So I'm going to start off with the Patricia St. John. These were on her list last year. She wasn't able to locate them all at the library, and then that I had listed here, and then now we have found them from our storage room, so she is excited for that. So we have Treasures of the Snow, Tanglewood Secret, Star of Light, and Twice Freed. So I'm excited to add those. Like I said, some of them I did as a read aloud, some of them she was able to read, but I can't remember which ones exactly, and so I'm just going to go ahead and put them all on there. Okay, the next one is Little Miriam of Galilee. Again, I had bought this book years ago when we did this curriculum the last time, or this time period the last time, and we didn't get to it. We didn't read it. So we're going to pull it out. She's going to breeze through it and probably enjoy it. It's about a little girl during Galilee, and so she'll enjoy it. The next one is Island of the Blue Dolphins. We've just never read this one, and we have it, and I figured, I remember I read it around her age, but she's just never read it, so I thought I'd put it on there. Selections from the book Ourselves by Charlotte Mason. I do love this. I love that it's included. We are probably going to be doing more selections than it has listed for this year. I think it was pages 66 to 107, and we'll probably do more than that, but that is on there. The next one was one that she requested be put on her list. She said many of her friends are reading it or have read it or talking about it, so she wanted to read it as well to know what they're talking about, and it is To Kill a Mockingbird, a classic, I guess, that's always recommended, but I actually have never read it because it was never recommended to me, and when I read the cover I thought, it doesn't really sound like one I want to read, but she is interested in going there, so I'm gonna let her. The next is Tanglewood Tales and a Wonder Book for Boys and Girls, both by Hawthorne. These are mythology, Greek mythology stories, so she is all about that right now. She thinks that kind of stuff is really, really interesting, so she is excited about that. Some old-fashioned ones that I had in the past, and I found them in our storage, so I added them on here. Peep Behind the Scenes, Christie's Old Organ, Basket of Flowers. These are all ones that I kind of went through this time period, I think around COVID, where I was just collecting all of these old books that had been reprinted, and these were all, I think, from the 1800s, and they are just so good. They're full of Christian little values and things, and they're so good. So I put them on there. The next is Boy of the Pyramids. I remember we bought this one last time we went through this curriculum. Again, we didn't read it, and it was one that I saw recommended many, many times. So I'm glad she's going to take that. The Phantom Toll Booth. I think I had this on her list last year, and I don't know why, but I don't think she read it, or she didn't get to it, or she wasn't interested, or she didn't finish it, something. Anyways, I stuck it back on there because I feel like she's really going to enjoy it if she tries it. So we'll see. Glenn Beck's Common Sense. This is one I just happened to find at a thrift store, and I know it's taken off of Thomas Paine's Common Sense, which is the original, and I feel like it may just be valuable to have, so I put it on here. Hind's Feet in High Places. Of course, I talked about that in the last video when I talked about our other curriculum choices. Noah Webster's Advice to the Young. This is a tiny little book that I purchased years ago. And then again, had it in storage. And so I found it again. And so I pulled it out. War of the Worlds. I thought she would just find that interesting. She is kind of into that kind of stuff. So I thought she would find it interesting. Last year, she found a new author that she really liked, and it was Louisa May Alcott. And from her reading list, she found this author and she really, really enjoyed it. So 2 books that she hasn't read by them or by her are Jack and Jill and Under the Lilacs. So we are going to try those. By Jane Austen, I put Emma and Sense and Sensibility. She told me, I think she's already read Emma, but said, please put it on there so I can read it again. And so here you go. Beowulf I put on here. That was recommended by Ambleside. I think Pickwick Papers by Dickens and Innocents of Father Brown by Chesterton were also recommended by Ambleside, so I just added them on here. There's a couple others. Freckles by Porter, The House of Arden by Nesbit. So I just put them on there because I thought she would probably enjoy them if they're recommended. We'll see. Lorna Doone, she read last year, absolutely adored it, read a abridged version, adored it so much, and said, please put it on there. I want to read the full length. And so I did. And again, that's how you can see exactly how that works. When they do the abridged, I know sometimes they are not really like, oh, don't have them read the abridged. I see that, but here's an example of where she read the abridged. It would have probably been a little intimidating starting at the full length, and it inspired her to go to the unabridged. So there you go. Some plays. These were all recommended by Ambleside. 2 of them I've never heard of, and then one of them is Every Man a Morality Play. I remember reading this, I think, in college, and I think she would enjoy it. The other 2 are by Dryden, All for Love or World Well Lost, and Discourses on Satire and Epic Poetry. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. The Holy War by John Bunyan. We read Pilgrim's Progress last year, so she might be interested in that. We'll see. I saw that Ambleside recommended The Complete Angler by Walton. It's apparently a book about fishing, and I probably would have normally skipped it, except that we have a lot of friends that fish and are interested in fishing and know a lot about fishing, and she doesn't. So I thought, maybe we'll try it. But apparently it's supposed to have some like morals and values and things intermixed, but the whole thing is ultimately about fishing. So I don't know, but she thought, well, maybe it'd be good because I have my friends and this and that, and so we'll see. We'll see. Okay, Screw Tape Letters. I told her what it was kind of about, so we'll see if she enjoys it or if she feels like it's too much. The Space Trilogy by C.S. Lewis, we might try. We'll see. By H.A. Gerber. I'm probably butchering that. I'm sorry. Story of the Greeks and Story of the Romans. Yeah, so we'll probably try both of those. Okay. The next one I had, also recommended by Ambleside, is History of English Literature for Boys and Girls by H.E. Marshall. It says chapters 1 through 31 because I think in the next year it has the rest of the book or something. We'll see. She may want to go through the whole thing. She may start it and not be interested yet. We'll see. Okay, so the next one is Utopia by Sir Thomas More. This girl loves dystopian fiction, but this is kind of the opposite. So I think it would be something interesting for her to explore as well. And I mentioned it to her and she was excited. So we'll see. Okay, the next one I have is The Life of Sir Francis Bacon. And there are essays also that go along with that he wrote. So his biography and then the works that he produced. I think that, I don't know really anything about him, but I think that it would be something there. It was recommended on Ambleside. I think it would be something that would be beneficial because I did look at some of the essays and they seemed really good. Now, I will do a future video on many of these where I talk about how you can get many of these for free on your Kindle, because I want to do the other reading list for my other kiddos first, but then I'll show you that because I have found this new little tool that I'm going to be using to get my hands on a bunch of these, and reading on a Kindle is not really my favorite, but I feel like if I can get, if you have a child like I have, this one is, not all of my kids are like this, but that is just thirsty for knowledge, thirsty for literature and good literature, that is a good way to get your hands on it, a lot of them for free quickly. And so that is what I'm looking at. The ones that end up being favorites, of course, I would prefer to have a hard copy, like a book on a bookshelf, but for now, this will get us through. So I'm excited to do that. I hope this video has been encouraging to you guys. I hope it is not like, oh my gosh, this lady is crazy with all these books, because like I said at the beginning, this particular child enjoys this challenge, and this is for the whole school year, and she will read through so many of them. I did not tell you, but she is also going to try and do a Christian heroes book, one a month. So starting in September to May, she's going to try and do one of those a month. So we are looking forward to that as well. And again, some of these are short books. Again, some of them are going to be not interesting to her, and she's going to read a couple chapters and want to move on. And that's okay. That's why I got the whole list ready, because when it comes time and we're in the school year and mama's busy, it's already done. So she can just move on to the next book. And you know what? Last year I gave her the list and she finished it by Christmas. This year, if it takes us through summer, that's okay. That's okay. So that's part of the breeze of the beauty of homeschooling, is having that flexibility. So don't let that intimidate you, but I do hope it encouraged you for some new books, maybe to read to your own kids or to put on your bookshelf for your kids to read. So next week I'll show you the book videos for reading lists for my younger kids, which will be very much shorter than this one. So look forward to that, and I'll catch you guys next time.